Now, while all of this is going on outside of the soccer field, a lot of the players have been cut down to a 30-man squad, some of them 23-man squad. And just as we did a little earlier today, covering the well-known squads from Europe, we're now going to cover the South American squads from Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, and Uruguay. Mark Haskins is here to talk about some of the players to look out for, as well as some of the notable exclusions. Good day, and thank you for coming back.
Thank you, Kendall. Thanks for having me.
Mark, let's start with the host, Brazil. What do you make of the makeup of this particular squad?
It's pretty much the same team as the Confederations Cup team. Scolari actually said that this team for him was easier to choose than the 2002 team, which he won the World Cup with. And I think that's pretty much due to the fact that he won the Confederations Cup last year with this team. So it was kind of easy for him to say, okay, let's go with the same team again. You know,
one of the things about, I suppose, being Scolari and being coach of Brazil is that you've got a whole host of stars to choose from. In fact, I'd say this particular story about Brazil is more about the exclusions than the inclusions, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, Brazil have always been spoiled for choice in terms of their players. I mean, it's like they just come off a conveyor belt. But the Kaká and Robinho are the major exclusions. That's the two players people have been speaking about. There are players like Coutinho as well and Lucas Moura from PSG. They're also unlucky. And then a lot of people have been talking about Ronaldinho as well, although I don't think he was really in contention. But I think with Scolari, he was just really happy to go with what he had for the Confederations Cup.
But now let's talk about one of the biggest stars of the last couple of years in football, the 22-year-old Neymar. Neymar has been absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I think one of the old bullies from Brazilian football mentioned that the strike force that Brazil has is not the same as what they used to have, except for Neymar.
Well, Neymar has, there's been a lot of pressure on him, and people forget that he's only 22 years old. And the thing is, even before the Confederations Cup, people were saying, is he really good enough? And in the Confederations Cup, he proved that he is. But I do think with the World Cup, it is a bigger stage. And with the country's hopes resting on his shoulders, I think the more experienced players are going to have to come in and around him to really prove their worth as well and just take the load off of him a bit so that he can express himself, because it might be a bit too much for him to handle if all their hopes rest on him.
And it's a big country.
It is, it is.
Now, okay, cool. Now, talking about players and squads being centered around a person, we'll go now to Argentina. All right. Argentina is fairly interesting in that there are some commentators that say Lionel Messi is treated like a god, and the squad has been actually built around his playing style and his needs as a player.
Well, when you have a player like Messi, I think it makes sense to build your team around him because he is an exceptional player. He's going to go down as one of the greatest players of all time. The same thing happened when Pelé was there, when Maradona was there, even Zidane for France. The team was built around him. And so a player like Messi, you have to build your team around him. And I think that may even have, reports suggest that that's what's cost Tevez a place in the team, because his relationship with Messi apparently is not the greatest. And so I think to avoid confrontation, to avoid conflict, the coaches probably left Tevez out. But a player like as special and as gifted as Messi, you have to build a team around him.
Once again, I mean, Argentina is one of those teams where, in fact, you've got them on a conveyor belt. You've got the stars on a conveyor belt, and I believe that most teams in Europe have got an Argentinian star in them. Angel Di Maria, for example, playing out in Real Madrid. And but now let's look at an exclusion like De Michelis.
Well, yeah, he's been out of the team since November 2011, I think it is. So he's been left out for quite a while, but the coach has brought him back, I think, based purely on his performance with Manchester City and their success. And he's been an integral part of their success this season in the English Premiership. So I think he deserved a call-up, and hopefully he'll make the final 23, because at the moment they're still 30, so there are still heads that are going to roll in that team.
Right. I mean, some other commentators are saying that this team is actually very well balanced, because in fact this particular coach is the same coach that won the Copa Libertadores Estudiantes in 2009, which is the equivalent, I believe, of the European Champions League, no?
Yeah. The thing with Argentina is that they attack. I mean, they're spoiled for choice in their attack. I mean, if you look at the strikers they have, and I think that's one of the reasons why they could leave Tevez out, because they've got Higuain, and they've got so many different players up front who can do the job for them. And in the past, I think have been criticized because of their defense, and I think this coach has brought in some stability in terms of their defense, and that's made them a better unit and just made them an all-round threat. So they're not just good going forward, but they can defend as well, and that's going to help them in the World Cup.
Now, let's come to Uruguay. A lot of people still have not forgiven Luis Suarez for that handball in the 2010 World Cup against Ghana. What do you make up of this particular squad?
I think Uruguay are a team that definitely have to be watched. They qualified through the playoffs this time round. They did the same thing in 2010. They also went through the playoffs to qualify, but they ended up going to the semi-final. So they always seem to struggle in qualifying, but when the time comes at crunch time for tournaments and whatever, because they are the South American defending champions as well.
Yeah.
So in big tournaments, they always stand up to be counted. So the fact that they went to playoffs to get to the tournament shouldn't be taken for granted. They will definitely be a threat. They've got players like Suarez, Cavani, Forlan, who've been there. I mean, Forlan was player of the tournament at the last World Cup. So Uruguay are definitely going to be a team to watch out for.
All right, and lastly but not least, Colombia. They're sitting 5th on the FIFA rankings, and they're doing extremely well, aren't they?
I mean, they are definitely, for a team that's last qualified, I think it was 98, the 98 edition, that was the last time they qualified. For them to be ranked 5th, obviously they faltered here and there, but they definitely going to be one team to look out for. They finished 2nd in the qualifying. The player that they rest their hopes on, though, is kind of in doubt, and that's Falcao. So if Falcao can recover, they definitely going to be one team to watch out for as well.
Fantastic. That's phenomenal. Mark, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.